Hey YouTube, Lawnboys Post 1975 and welcome to my Christmas message for 2020. Time to get the cliche part out the way, but wow, has it really been a year? I mean, this year has absolutely flown by. This will be my ninth Christmas message, which is just remarkable for me to think about. And also, it's safe to say that it's been a very interesting and very trying and quite frankly, a stunner of a year, which makes celebrating Christmas with your friends, your family, your loved ones that much more important. Now, what would I like to talk about this year? Well, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail, and basically, I want to talk about how the Christmas TV guide, or in this country's case, back then, particularly, the Christmas radio times and the Christmas TV times weren't just a part of Christmas. They were an integral part of Christmas. They were a present within themselves, and I touched upon this a few years back very briefly, but the reason I want to talk about this in this message is simply because I bought my first Radio Times probably in about 20 years. I may have bought a TV guide from time to time, possibly more so for things like the World Cup or the Euros, but it was never the Radio Times. And the Radio Times is a big deal for those of us in the United Kingdom, as is the TV Times, for being something that we always, year in and year out, got to navigate the minefield of Christmas TV. Now, quickly I have to say, terrestrial TV, particularly Christmas terrestrial TV, because of when I grew up, and prior to satellite and once upon a time only having 3 channels, then 4 channels, it was all you had. It was a big deal. It was, it was when all the companies, BBC, ITV, Channel 4, they would break out the big guns, break out their checkbooks and see if they could get a scoop for a movie or film an in-house Christmas special or something that was popular towards their audience other times of the year, to get one over on the other channels for viewing, for the all-important Christmas viewing figures. And it's funny because if you think about TV now, terrestrial TV, I'm sure there are people who use it. I'm sure there are people who it's their only form of TV. They don't stream, they don't have sort of satellite TV or things like that. Obviously, it's I'm guessing it might be an older generation or so because of the whole thing with the TV license that the BBC are now charging over 75s again for it. And don't worry, this isn't going to be political. And people were like, but this for some people is their lonely elderly people. This is it's almost like company for them. So there are people that they only have terrestrial TV, but it's. The reason I want to talk about this is you could argue that the TV guide is now, it's certainly not a part of Christmas. Obviously, as you can see on the Radio Times, they, the big double issue, and it's got Santa on it, and most other TV guides have Santa and Christmas themed things on them, but they are not what they were. They are not an integral part of Christmas, which I think is really sad because it was such a big deal for me as a child, a really big deal for me and my brothers. Like I said, when we were given these guides, because I'll get to that, we had to have 2. Let me adjust my rapidly falling apart Christmas hat. We had to have 2, but yeah, I think that's a bit sad because obviously on-demand TV, watch what you want when you want, streaming. I mean, obviously there are Christmas movies on there, and I used Amazon Prime for that, but there is a certain charm of being chained, or tied I should say, to a book TV guide, and obviously on demand that doesn't happen. Then modern TVs, and we've had this going back the best part of 2 decades now, that with when digital TV kicked in, you would just press a button on your remote and it would show you the listings for TV for 2 weeks, but it lacks that not just like the listings, it lacks that charm, I should say, and warmth, and not just the listings of what's on TV. Seriously, Hats, I know you're 4 years old, but come on, we're going to make it through this Christmas. We can do this together. Yeah, it lacks the charm and the warmth of a big fat guide with stories and things like that, and I was going to say special features, but like articles about how certain things were made or movies that were showing up on Christmas and stuff like that. Maybe this Hat's not going to make it through. Maybe I should get a white stick. Just because it's a Christmas video doesn't mean I can't say that. But yeah, like it was more than just straight out listings. And so, you know what? I think I really generally don't think, that kids these days actually understand the importance and the fun. Yes, I went there. The fun that a TV guide at Christmas was. Now, obviously, when I was a lad, we had to have two TV guides. This here is the Radio Times, and now this was a fiver. I was going to buy both of them, but since both of them now have all the same listings in it, there didn't really seem much point, and that would have cost me a tenner. But when I was a lad, you had to get the Radio Times that I believe was BBC One and BBC Two, and then you had to get the TV Times, which was well, ITV at one point, just ITV, and its local variants such as HTV, which would be the area I am in. Honestly, I can't adjust my hat anymore. Get used to it. And later on, Channel 4, I say later on, but Channel 4 kicked in 1982, although I would have been 7 at that point, honestly. But we now, something else that made it even that more important and an integral part of Christmas was we never got TV guides all year round. Any other time of the year, we did not do it. We simply survived on the middle section or the middle 2 pages of the local Bristol paper, the Evening Post, because every night you would open the middle section. I mentioned this in my vlog about my first TV, and basically you'd have all 4 channels there listed, then key programs down the side, and it was daily. And since the paper came in the evening but would come at sort of 4 o'clock, I mean, you could get a morning edition, but it would come at 4 o'clock, and since we were at school all day, the rest of the paper was obsolete anyway. We only cared about this evening's listings, but obviously because my parents knew that, you know, and it's a good way to entertain your children, especially when you got 3 boys, that the big guns would be broken out, and you would want to map and traverse this amazing time of the year, especially when you're a child. And let's be honest, TV in the early 80s, if you know, for a young child, when, you know, when there's no satellite or anything like that, it was brilliant. It was very exciting, genuinely very excited when the trailers started rolling out and let you know little sneak peeks here and there and stuff like that about what was being broken out by BBC and HTV and stuff like that. You lost your shit. I try so hard not to swear in my Christmas vlog, but it's just not meant to be. I apologise, but you would lose your shit. And you know, like I told you, I mentioned this before, but the year that Back to the Future was on at the same time as Empire Strikes Back, and what Back to the Future is my favourite movie of all time, I still needed to record Empire Strikes Back because that was another big part of Christmas. And another reason you got the guide was using the guide so you could tape all these things, you know, pause and re-record to basically build your home video cassette collection from taping off TV. But the best thing, because we never got it, was, and you used to break up from school a lot nearer to Christmas. I don't know when kids break up now, and obviously I literally break up from work on the 23rd, and I'm back on the 26th. Spare a thought for poetical Dave. But those days you used to break up on the 22nd, and it made it feel that much more Christmassy. And obviously, like this one is here, it's a double. It's the legendary double issue. I think this may cover a month. I could be wrong. But in those days, it was pretty much 2 weeks. And as I said, you had to get both of them. So we would break up from school around about the 22nd. And obviously, the TV companies would start, you know, adopting their programming and changing, you know, time slots and things like that, and filling different time slots, I should say, with children appropriate material and Christmas appropriate material. And so my mum would go and buy Christmas Times, Christmas Radio Times, Christmas TV Times, and we get them both at the same time, and they will be given to us. And we used to fight over them. Honestly, we used to fight over them. These things were worn to pieces, completely weathered within literally a day of us receiving them, because you would read them start to finish. You would literally pour over every inch of it. I mean, I look at it now, and it's far removal from what it was when I was a lad. But obviously the breakdowns, which is the very best, and it's breaking down certain specific days over Christmas, and literally listing stuff for each day. And they did this back then for, no, blatant advert, for articles. See what I mean? It's like the Playboy magazine, but for TV whores. But yeah, and break down, you know, before you got into the listings, starting from every day, they would break down. So there's a section for movies, which was my favourite as a kid. Used to spend hours staring at that, and then break down, like, on this day across these 4 channels, you know, special events you may want to watch, like Noel Edmonds' Telly Addicts. Yes, I did like Noel Edmonds' Telly Addicts back in the day, especially at Christmas when they would break out. You know, they'd have the made-up famous families, if you know what I mean, which is celebrities would become a family or a unit as opposed to a family, you know, and compete against each other. I loved stuff like that. And then, you know, things like the Christmas special of the two Ronnies. But there was another absolute favourite of mine. I absolutely lived for the Christmas special of the two Ronnies. And obviously, the Morecambe and Wise and many, many, many repeats of Morecambe and Wise. Things like this. They were just, it was so important that these magazines were just, I mean, obviously it was people, it was journalists, you know, giving heavily their sort of opinion and what would be their influence and why they would watch it. But again, even as a kid, you would read it and you would just pour over and over and over. I can't do it justice of how much this was a big deal. Like I said, these two TV guides, we never got at any other time of year, so getting them both then, no idea how expensive they were, but they probably cost a fair bit to get both. The fact that you couldn't have one guide covering every single channel back then is, but it was a present, honestly, and my mum could have gift wrapped them and given them to us on 22nd of December, and it would have been an early, you know, amazing Christmas present and Christmas treat. But the other thing I remember the most about this, and I can't have been the only one to do this, and I have touched upon this very, very briefly, let's get into the main listings. My God, though, they were much more slimline, and while there were articles and stuff, they were far more streamlined, you know, far more devoted to being a TV guide. Like I said, I haven't read this in years. To me, it's a little bit sad. It's a little bit too far removed from, I don't know, I mean, yeah, like I'm going to watch Doctor Who, which is a shame because that was always a big Christmas special, more so when I was a grown-up, obviously from 2005 onwards. But yeah, I preferred the fact they were more streamlined. They may have articles and stuff like this. This seems to just become a big fat coffee book. Or coffee table magazine. But yeah, you used to get this is obviously your traditional stuff that you would always have from day one, and you used to get these, and we used to get all given a different pen, a different chunky marker, and we would all sit there, and obviously if one of us had already ringed it, we wouldn't all ring it to the point where you couldn't even read what it was anymore because the paper was rapidly absorbing a massive amount of, probably then, toxic ink. You would sit there and you would go for it. You would literally, one of the best things about Christmas is you would do this in one go, sat down with your brothers, probably the only time you were being patient, together, and starting from the first day of the guide that was applicable to you, and then ringing every single thing you wanted to watch across all the TV channels. Again, it was far, you know, well, it wasn't far simpler because we had both magazines, but you know what I mean. So we could double up then. But yeah, it also, we had two TVs. God knows how people did this if they only had one TV. We were lucky. We had a TV, two colour TVs, one in my parents' room, you know, one downstairs. I'm talking more so very specifically primary school Christmas TV guide memories, or Christmas TV radio times and TV times memories, because obviously later on with my many computers and my many consoles, I had my own, you know, TV. But that also kind of cheapened the whole aspect of how important, how special the Christmas TV guides were. Not just because you got all this amazing TV, and like I said, in the times way before streaming services and stuff like that, and way before you know, satellite TV. Although to be fair, when I was 12 and we had satellite TV, they did pull out, you know, decent Christmas TV shows and listings and have their own specials. But even then, as a younger or an older child, it didn't touch upon what a magic special event was the day you got your TV guides to check everything for Christmas. But yeah, ringing it, just sitting there and going through everything across all channels, turn page. You know, I not like squabbling like you used to do when you used to get a Christmas club book, you know, like Littlewoods or Marshall and Ward, and you used to turn to the back section where it was all toys like that when you got the Christmas one, and you used to turn the page and whoever put their finger on something first, that would be the toy they would get, even though that wouldn't be the toy you would get. You know what I mean? No, we were patient with this. Absolutely, I have to say this is a far removal from my memories as a child. But yeah, we were patient. We would like, what do you want to watch? I want to watch this. What do you want to watch? I want to watch this. And when you were younger, while the movies are cool and stuff like that, it was more so the special events and the things like that, and Christmas cartoons and a Charlie Brown Christmas. For me, even as a very young child, I clearly missed the message about anti-commercialism at Christmas was still always a massive favourite, as was the snowman. And it's funny how far we've come, and it does kind of cheapen it, although it's very convenient for consumption of Christmas TV materials. That Father Christmas by Raymond Briggs, you know, in the same animation as the snowman. It's all on YouTube. There's loads of Christmas specials on YouTube and stuff. Hell, I watched a Different Strokes Christmas special. You know, the one when they got burgled by the bloke who was employing what's his name. Anyway, but yeah, it's just things like that. You know, and Christmas Eve TV as well. Like you because you spend so long circling these things, you know, and with your brothers and discussing with your brothers, even though you're kids, like you're massively old. Well, I think we should be watching this on Christmas Day. I see your point very well, Ian, but let's see what Jason says. Jason, should we be watching The Snowman by Raymond Briggs? Yes, there's a certain charm, but I feel that Father Christmas is more realistic in the portrayal of a grumpy old man. Anyway, you know what I mean, but yeah, little things like that. And, you know, what are you going to watch that for? It's rubbish. And then some squabbling would come in. To me, is an integral part of my childhood Christmas. And even talking about it now, it fills me with a warm feeling. Although, to be fair, that is a radiator there, and I'm wearing this, and I am dying. But I digress. So, it's like Christmas Eve TV, I remember very, very, you know, strongly one Christmas Eve on that day where your incitement was insane and almost killing you and eating you up alive. And then I remembered, you know, going back to the Radio Times and looking what I listed for on Christmas Eve, and round about 7, 8 o'clock in the evening was Jason and the Argonauts. Jason and the Argonauts. And I really, 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 really wanted to see that so badly that then it completely abated this burning desire to go to bed so I could get up. And it was Christmas morning and I could open my presents. So, and Christmas Day TV was legendary TV. I mean, that was the one where you really, really got excited about. But this isn't really about what was on. This is about that moment when you got the guide and you could plan out through the minefield of Christmas TV, and the fact that you would read it every day, well into the new year, you know, every day. And not just because of the stuff you circled, but you would read it again, just keep reading the little blurb about something that you hadn't seen before that was either a big movie or a Christmas special and stuff like that. I'm probably failing to convey what a big deal this was for me and my brothers as a kid, but honestly, it was. Christmas TV guides, the Radio Times and the TV Times were a massive part of my Christmas, probably up till the age of about 10 or 11. And I mean, it's not that I stopped enjoying Christmas after that, but it was more so a period when you were young, when you would circle things in magazines and stuff like that, and more associated with that breaking up from school when you were at primary school, when you were very young. So there's something about how integral part, an important part, fantastic part, and a nostalgic part of my childhood Christmases, which simply came from the TV listings. It's as silly as that sounds. Anyway, as always, I would like to say thank you very much for, you know, supporting my channel throughout this, you know, this very strange year. And I hope each and every one of you has an absolutely fantastic, amazing Christmas and a brilliant, certainly a better year than this year. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you later.